Welcome everyone in the next session of feasibility studies preliminary design in EIA in the project. Today we will mainly talk about a very important session that how we can apply the EIA in different sectoral, or we can call it the developmental project. In that specific session, I will briefly introduce that how we can apply EIA in a transportation sector, or what are the basic indicator, or what are the indicator without that you cannot proceed EIA in a specific project such as transportation, water resource development, industrial development, agriculture, and so on. Okay. Keep in mind that environmental impact of developmental activities vary with the type, nature, size, location, and activities. While there are different types of developmental activities, among them we have only selected four of them which are very much important and almost which cover all those different, or like we can call it major developmental sector. So the possible impact of these sectors are listed in this, and we will explain that in that specific presentation. Okay, so listen to the presentation and try to make your own point. So first of all, the very first one is about transportation, or we can call it that what are the key indicator which we need to apply in the EIA. Okay, keep that in mind. There are numbers of transportation projects such as road, rail, airport, and waterways, and so on. Okay, among them, uh, the rapid transit projects such as port, harbor, airport, highway, oil and gas. So these are only for the purpose of general guideline, and actual impact and their magnitude would vary with the type, size, location, activity, outcome of any project. The major and significant impact of transport project that could result from the construction, operation, maintenance, trying to build different facilities in terms of environmental friendly, or we can call it in terms of environmental sector that the project would affect. Okay, the first one is physical resources. Among the physical resources, we have the number first one is about surface water hydrology. So you need to understand that transportation project may alter the natural hydrology, sediments, different type of a soil quality, transport pattern, and waterways in different project area. And these should be examined with and without project condition. Okay, so you cannot ignore physical resources. The second part in the physical resources is the surface water hydrology. Transportation project like the construction and operation of ports, harbor, road and railways, and so on, in a significant change in the hydrologic regime. So consequently change in its quality is also possible. The deterioration of surface water quality could result due to pollution from silt, runoff, sanitary waste, and so on. So different type of chemical also may used to occur in both the construction and operation phases of the project, such as highway, roadways, and so on. So highway project could also affect the surface water quality due to spill of material arising from accidents, or when you want to stabilize the road and so on. Okay, so it's very important to also study the surface water quality as well. The next part is about groundwater. Transportation project may result in alteration of the groundwater table and infiltration rates, so like water logging of wells may also occur. The next part is about air quality. Air quality would also deteriorate in the construction of transportation project due to the movement of construction material and consequent dust and particulate that would drift in the air. During operation, air quality deterioration would may occur due to increase in vehicular traffic. For example, if you would like to construct highway, and also the fast movement of a railway, if you are going to build something for a high-speed railway, similarly for the airport. So all those different modes of a transportation also contribute to the air pollution load and may regarded as a secondary impact in terms of the air quality. Next part is about erosion. The construction phase of transportation project involved a great deal of different type of moving activities, filling, kind of cutting and filling, borrowing different materials from like different stable area. So there is a huge susceptibility to erosion at the top layer. Okay, so you cannot also ignore the seismic analysis, or we can also call it geological condition. The proposed project could also affect the geology of the project if extensive cutting and filling is taken at every location. For example, in terms of constructing of a highway, airports, or like railways, and also you cannot ignore noise and vibration. Nice is of course also very kind of major impact. For example, if you consider if you want to locate some type of a major grand station, like big station of a railway, or like waterways, or like airport near to the pollution, so you should ignore that, and you should consider and take care of the local inhabitants as well. So these are the different parameters, but this doesn't mean that they are fixed, but you cannot ignore them. So like for example, you can divide all of them in like different categories. For example, if we talk about seismic analysis, you can go for like different seismic zones, tectonic plates, and geological conditions, soil condition, and so on. Okay, so means that one indicator you can increase it in like many different types, according to your project need and necessary. Next part is about ecological resource. Okay, so the first part is about fisheries, forestries, and different type of a wildlife which actually exist. Okay, so if we talk about fisheries, so the alteration in hydraulic regime and water quality may have significant impact on fisheries due to change in like nutrient supplied, and growth of the waterways due to transportation, kind of different project, which may affect fisheries due to the improper disposal of a breeding spoils. Fisheries also basically nowadays worldwide affected, because a lot of waste, a lot of contaminated waste, a lot of chemical waste is actually sent to the open water, to the open ocean, without recycling, which actually kills fisheries and a lot of aquatic life. So you should be very much careful about that. The next part is about forestry. The construction phase may involve cutting of forest. Further, the improved accessibility arising from different transportation projects may also accelerate forest resource depletion. So now the question is how you can convert the same depletion in terms of amount, so that the same how much you already damaged you cannot actually recover, but you can come up with the alternative. For example, if 100 trees, like mature trees, which are already like very much big grown, so you can come up with a suggestion that you should construct at least 1,000 more trees, and the kind of the same company, project owner, project handler should take care of those plant for at least one and a half or like 2 years, so that they can grow very quickly. Next part is about wildlife. Of course, when we cut forest, so we also disturb fisheries, we also disturb wildlife, we also disturb natural habitat, which may affect terrestrial wildlife. Further encroachment to their habitat may also result due to improved accessibility. Consider due to the improved accessibility, consideration should be given how we can preserve the existing wildlife travel route, including access ways for like crossing of highways at different suitable intervals, and so on. Next part is about human use values, okay, such as like navigation, land transport, flood control, agriculture, and so on. Okay, all of those parameters are very much important. For example, if you just want to simply build a very transportation project, so you cannot like ignore transportation, ecological, human use values, and also quality of life. So these all are basically part of a number one indicator, which we call transportation. So like how much navigation is basically important. The project would also affect natural irrigation channel in both inlands and like marine waterways. Of course, it can also maybe increase the separation effect. So improved accessibility may provide beneficial effect for the greater use of some waterways. So second part is like land transport, how we can introduce new transportation route feasibility which could have an effect on the existing land transportation. It could result in increased utilization of connecting routes or decreased traffic on parallel routes, and these should be examined very much carefully. Examined flood control, so you cannot like ignore the open channel what happened in the last 10 to 20 or like 3 decades. So the project could also result in changing the natural drainage pattern of the area. It could also adversely affect the flood control as well. The last part is about agriculture. Agriculture could be beneficially and adversely impacted. The new route could also enable greater access to like market for farmer and enable them to purchase fertilizer, pesticides, and so on. Okay, so in the other words, this could increase the quality of runoff and could also affect the surface water quality as well. Okay. Next part is about quality of life. So like in quality of life, we will basically, there are a lot of indicators which you cannot ignore, but mainly I have considered those five which according to my knowledge are like very much important, such as socio-economic, industries, settlement, and you cannot ignore of course the archaeological or like historical values and aesthetic and so on. So if you talk about the socio-economic, the transportation project would lead to increase access in different terms, which could lead for like new industries and new opportunity for the kind of employment and like neighboring communities and so on. But these secondary effects would also have adverse impact on the surrounding environment as well in terms of increased pollution and population as well. So the second part is about industries. Industrial development could be increased due to the increased accessibility and improved communication. Construction of ports and harbor and airport are of special importance, which may trigger the urban development as a whole. Next part is about resettlement. This is also very much major issues because if the feasibility is passed among the major hub where the population is already living, so if the separation effect comes, so means the same group of people is actually divided in like two different blocks. So if we talk about resettlement, so the question is with the new proposed line, how you can resettle those people which have already disturbed. So you cannot ignore them as well. Okay, so you should also consider those people, that how you can like re-accommodate them. Next part is about how we can take care of the historical values, places, and so on. So any proposed project may affect existing historical important sites such as treasure. Should be like there should be also uh, alternative through which we can also consider the other options. So you cannot pass your feasibility or like through your feasibility which actually cross such as like religious places, historical places, like monument and so on. Last part is about aesthetic. So usually whenever we plan or like construct for like any transportation project, we usually come with a technique of a cutting and felling. Okay, so which actually characterize the different construction phases of a uh, transportation, which may have direct and indirect effect and on the scenic beauty of the same area. Okay, so beneficial effect is the enhancement of any aesthetical values, the construction of airports, highways, etc. But the question is that how much you have actually damaged the landscape. Of course, with roadway, with highways, with airports, the beauty of the area, the aesthetic appearance may be like improve or like better. But the question is how much you actually damage that part. You should also consider. Next part is about industrial sector. Okay, so industrial development has also kind of very much focused and explain impact on the environment, both beneficial and inverse. Okay, So of course, on the one hand, we actually need industry to create more jobs, to stabilize economy, but it have also adverse effects as well. So industrial process usually use up the limited resources and thus vastly alter the ecology and which can directly affect the local ecosystem. They produce concentrated waste in solid, liquid, and gaseous form, and these can be very dangerous to water, air, and land resources, which could subsequently affect and have a larger impact on the quality of life. So we have different type of resources such as physical resources and resource depletion. So those two terms are very much relevant with each other, that how much physical resources which you can see which are already existed and how much the same resources depletion and how much we can translate the damage part in terms of the recovery. And the next part is about like the raw material requirement may cause depletion of natural resources such as like bamboo used in paper production, rock salt, which is used in soda ash and plant and so on. Okay, so the next part is about air quality. So you should also consider before construction of any project that how much it will damage the air quality, such as for example road transportation have the highest emission level, while the airport have the second one, and the last one is the railways. And the most sustainable one, or which is most environmental friendly, is the marine transportation. Okay? So the emission of pollutants such as NOx, COx, and hydrocarbon may rise the baseline concentration several fold and may have adverse effect on the environment, human ecosystem, fisheries, and so on. Okay, so you should also consider the surface water hydrology as well. Okay, you should also consider the uptake of water in like large quantity. So like especially which effect from the urbanization, which could also have a greater effect on this environmental component as well. Surface water quality is also very much important. You cannot build your environment which is already waterlogged, or there is a kind of a seepage type of a issues. So the ground water quality, of course, and availability of land is also very much important. You should also consider the water resource different developmental projects. So if you see like physical resources, surface water hydrology, surface water quality, groundwater, soil, geological, and watershed erosion, downstream erosion, climate, almost all those factors and indicators in every project is almost the same. Okay, so like different type of dams and reservoir or have large scale water resources, and different developmental projects which are among the most sensitive of all developmental projects, while providing great benefits like increased power production, water supplies, irrigation, and flood control. All those issues should be considered while planning and applying for the water resource of any type of a developmental project. Thank you very much. If you have any question, you can get back and write your comment below the same lecture. And please join the YouTube channel. Just search Professor Dr. Asim Farooq. If you have any question, you can reach me through comment. You can also reach me through email as well. Thank you. Have a nice day. Take care.